It's your most authoritative show on TV, The Pulse. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kukumlimli on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Remember, we are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon, with less than 24 hours for Burkinabe authorities to spill excess water from the Bagri Dam, we'll hear farmers in the northern part of Ghana who accuse NADMO of failing to help them evacuate. There's also more blood on our roads. This afternoon, we're learning of yet another accident which has claimed the life of a driver on the Fufoso-Bwipe road. We have details. Have you heard of the Joker virus, which can empty your entire bank account? On Tech Thursday, we'll hear from a global cybersecurity expert on how to protect yourself from being attacked by this virus. Let's settle now for the details. And more people continue actually to die on our roads, even as we mourn the 28 victims of last weekend's fatal crashes. The latest happened today. A 41-year-old Fufoso-Bwipe bound driver has died on the spot in a car crash with a cargo truck, while two others, his mate and another driver of the cargo truck, sustained serious injuries at Bwipe in the central Gonja district of the Savannah region. The injured, who were first rushed to the Bwipe polyclinic, are now said to be in a critical condition at the Tamala Teaching Hospital in the northern region. JoyNews sources at the Bwipe police station indicated that the Fufoso-Bwipe bound Sanyong minibus with registration number AS1703-13 was traveling from Fufoso-Bwipe heading towards Bwipe, but upon reaching the central Gonja district assembly, the vehicle veered off its lane and ran into the driver's side of the cargo truck with registration number. Now, on phone, we're going to be joined by our correspondent, Isaac Nonya, in the Savannah region, who's going to bring us up to speed on that particular development. Isaac, if you can hear me, what exactly is the latest as far as this most recent accident is concerned? What do we know about the number of people involved and whether any have been hospitalized?
Yes, the two critically injured are still on admission at the Tamala Teaching Hospital, while the driver mate of the truck, who was initially said to be okay, is currently on admission at the polyclinic. Initially, he wanted to go away, but personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service advised him to get to the polyclinic for the medical checkup. So I will speak, he's still there. The two are also still at Tamala Teaching Hospital, while the disease of the Sanyong bus up to now is not known where to be found, or is not where to be found, because the police said that initially what they wanted to do was to take the body to the mortuary of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, where a postmortem will be conducted on it, but it was forcibly taken away from them, and they are still searching to know where they could trace and take it to the Tamale Teaching Hospital for autopsy.
Isaac, a quick bit of clarity there. You say it was forcefully taken from them. By whom and to where?
Yes, the police made that clear. They said the brief family of the truck driver came around. Obviously, he comes from the area. Right. They had information and rushed there and picked the body away. Also, as the cause of the accident, the eyewitness account collaborated with that of the police. The police attributed the accident to dangerous driving. An eyewitness who said he was behind the truck, the cargo truck, but he saw both cars, the Sanyong minibus approaching the truck. But all that he had later on was the sound, boom, and then he saw smoke coming out. Right from there, he stepped down from his motorbike, and together with the fire service personnel who came around, tried to remove the bodies of the deceased and then that of the injured. We are also told that this is not confirmed, but it is that there were 4 passengers on board the minibus from Fufusu heading towards Bwipe. Unlike the truck, there were only 2, the passenger, the driver mate, and his boss.
Well, that's another gory accident that has greeted us today. Unfortunate there. But thank you very much, Isaac and Nonya, for bringing us the details. Let's learn more from the police. Joining me on phone is Savannah Regional Police PRO Inspector Ajekum Owusu. Inspector Owusu, thank you very much for joining the conversation. What did you gather at the scene of the accident?
Thank you, my brother. In the morning, when police heard of the accident, our men who were on patrols quickly rushed there. But unfortunately, they got there while the family members of the deceased too were there. After taking the body from the minibus, together with the victims who were injured, police wanted to take both the injured and the deceased to Tamale Teaching Hospital. But as Isaac indicated, they said no. Once the man is dead, they will not allow us to take the body to anywhere. And looking at the circumstances at the time, it was prudent for police to allow the family members to take the dead body, and then we concentrated on those who were injured.
Okay, so you say looking at the circumstances at the time. What circumstances exactly? Because if you had kept the body, there could have been opportunity for further investigation as to the cause of death and all of that. Yes, we know it was an accident, but what circumstances specifically are you referring to?
The circumstances I'm referring to is where some family members who were in their numbers, around 15 of them, trying to take the body from two police officers. You see, two police officers on board a vehicle, plus the driver who was driving them. They wanted to take the body from these two police officers, and in a violent way. So, police, you weigh the two. Should we combat them in the name of taking dead body to hospital for another injury to happen, or we should allow them to take their body away? And you see, normally we consider where we are working. It is a Muslim community, and per their custom, they don't normally allow their bodies to be sent to mortuary for this autopsy and other stuff. So if a vehicle is involved in an accident, we know it's an accident. We wanted to do the right thing, but the angry, let me say, the angry mob try to do such things which will escalate other unforeseen circumstances. We have to allow them to take their body to wherever they want to take the body to.
And so it is clear you were trying to avoid any exchanges that could lead to further incidents between your end, that is the police on one hand, and the family of the deceased on the other hand. But just to get exactly what happened, how violent was the behavior of the family members? What were they doing exactly? Were they wielding any objects? What was the threat to the police officers on the scene?
Some took up even clubs, that if the police attempt to send the body into our vehicle, they will either smash our windscreen or even cause damage to the vehicle. But you see, if we should hear police wanted to take dead body and clash with family members, it will sound unprofessional on our part.
Right.
So once the person is dead, we have to allow them.
Let's take a quick look now at those who have actually been injured, the two of them. Where have they been taken, and what can we say about the state in which they are currently?
Yeah, the driver and the mate of the Sion bus, the driver of the Benz truck, and the mate of the Sion bus are currently in Tamale Teaching Hospital. While the mate of the Benz bus, Benz truck, is at the Bupe Polyclinic receiving treatment. As Isaac indicated earlier on, the mate thought he was okay, but upon the advice given to him by the fire service personnel, he obliged and went to the hospital. And indeed, when he went there, he was not okay as he thought initially. So he's receiving treatment at the polyclinic.
What can you share about the nature of injuries to these two people?
The mate of the Sion bus, his one is not all that serious. But the driver who was driving the Benz, he had his leg broken. So he has been sent to Tamale Hospital.
Were there any others involved in this accident? Any other passengers, I mean, in the two vehicles, apart from those you've spoken of?
No, when we got there, our information was that the Sion, it was the mate and the driver, and the truck too, it was the mate and the driver. But somebody was telling us there were other two occupants in the Sion. But as soon as the accident happened, they were not hurt, so they ran away. So once we did not see them, we cannot say much about them.
Inspector Owusu, thank you so much for your time with us on The Pulse this afternoon. And we move on to other related stories as we talk about road crashes, but this time in Accra. Now, the latest road safety report by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has revealed an alarming increase in the number of head injuries from motorcycle accidents in the Accra metropolis. The report links the injuries directly to the improper use of helmets by motorcycle riders and their passengers. The Assembly, working with the National Road Safety Authority, says the plan to engage riders on the safe use of roads to reduce crashes. Judith Awatritando has more in the following report.
Every month, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital records an average of 102 road crash injuries, amongst which are head injuries. Records from the hospital showed that a number of 168 head injuries were recorded between the months of September and December last year. Emmanuel Ahiable is an emergency medicine specialist at the hospital.
So we try to tease out head injuries associated crashes. So from the chart here, you can see that head injuries are classified as mild, moderate, and severe. So we had 86 of those who were involved in RTA and all crashes having mild injuries. And we didn't record any mortality. Then if you look at the moderate head injury, about 48 of them sustained moderate head injuries. And 3 of them, we lost 3 of them. And the severe head injury, which is more fatal, 34 of them, and 11, we lost 11. So in total, 168 head injuries.
While authorities strive to reduce road crashes in the city, overspeeding has proven to be a major challenge. Mayor of Accra, Mohammed Ejesoa, explains the AMA is working together with the police MTTD to enforce the use of speed limits designated on our roads.
It is an undeniable fact that despite the effort that we have made in reducing the overspeeding, it is still a big issue for us within the city of Accra, and it's the #1 killer that I have observed. Together with the MTTD, we are waging war against overspeeding in Accra.
The report also highlighted a decline in the correct use of helmets among motorcycle riders. It dropped from 75% to 69% between 2019 and 2020. Similarly, the rate of correctly worn helmets amongst passengers on motorcycles dropped from 45% in 2019 to 25% in 2020. This data, according to the AMA, links to the increasing number of head injuries experienced within our hospitals. Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Mayor Briyeboa, however, says the NRSA is working to increase education on the proper use of the helmet.
I think for us, that is where education sensitization comes in, and very much in our domain. And so this statistics has even given us more information for us to be able to prove to them. And we've been having programs for them. The DVLA right now is also coming out with some instructors who will be trained to be able to also train the motorcycles. So we will use that opportunity as part of the modules for them to know how to wear the helmets.
Judith Awachitando, JoyNews.
Now, with less than 24 hours for Burkinabe authorities to spill excess water from the Bagri Dam, farmers and residents living along the waterways of the White Volta River in northern Ghana are rushing to salvage their farm produce as part of preparations to evacuate to safety ahead of the spillage of the Bagri Dam in Burkina Faso. The annual opening of the dam, which often coincides with heavy rains, always leaves a devastating trail of destruction in about 185 communities within the Sada zone, with an estimated population of 200,000 constantly at risk. Let's get an update on how the farmers are preparing for the floods. We start from the northeast region, where my colleague Ilyasu Tanko reports some farmers in the West Mamprusi and Mamprugu Mwaduri districts say there is no assistance from the National Disaster Management Organization to help them evacuate.
Spillage is an annual occurrence where billions of gallons of water are released from the Bagri Dam. The waters are barreled dangerously into the tributaries of the White Volta River in the northern, northeast, upper east, and savannah regions, starting from Gbenku at Zebila, uprooting trees, turning farmlands into rivers, and forcing families to abandon their homes. The dam is mostly spilled around August and September each year, when it could no longer contain above its 235 meters depth. Around 13 people were killed in the region last year and over 2,000 forced to leave their homes due to floods caused by torrential rains and the opening of the dam. This year, operators of the dam on Tuesday issued an alert announcing the dam will be spilled between August 27 and 30. But even before the spillage could start, hundreds of farmlands in communities in the West Mamprusi and Mamprugu Mwaduri district, which are usually the hardest hit, are already submerged in floodwaters caused by weeks of torrential rains in the region. The situation has left some farmers and residents in panic. At Kunkwa and Pasinkpe, these desperate farmers, as part of preparations to move to higher grounds, were risking their lives using old canoes to salvage their drowning produce. We use canoe to salvage these crops. We are risking our lives because we have to feed our family. We stand in the water at neck level to harvest what we could. We have lost much already. At our neck level, we stand in the reptiles-infested water to pick up the crops. We are doing all this just to get something to eat. We are fighting to get something in our stomach. This is how we risk our lives every year. That is why you always hear people are drowned. Every year, people die in this community as a result of the spillage. For several decades every year, a combination of bad roads, incessant rain, and flooding along tributaries of the White Volta River completely cut the overseas communities from the rest of the region. About 4 people died in these 2 communities last year due to the twin occurrence of the dam spillage and heavy downpours. The farmers here, while bracing themselves for the looming catastrophe, are criticizing the National Disaster Management Organization for their poor handling of previous flooding situations. The NADMO officials always show up late when the harm has already been caused. Last year, for instance, we had evacuated all by ourselves before they came. We always expect NADMO officials to give us enough information ahead on how to escape the vagaries of the spillage. But they always wait and show up only after we are devastated by the incident. We have lost our crops already. I have 3 acres here. and 4 over there. The 4 is already submerged in a flood.
To poma to kola ika abata na porgida ya shirben ika abanasa ika abanasa ngati pokuna to mpa ika abatan pormakati yasa.
And we only see few announcements on TV, but we expect them to be physically present here.
Ne bantu arane banye yuani kuma so tamsha eminte pone ebe buom pa de pilwa banye za da machine.
Ilyasu Tanko reporting.
We shall bring you more updates from our correspondents in the affected areas. But right now, let's bring in the Member of Parliament for Binduri in the Upper East region, Abanga Abdullahi. Thank you for joining the conversation, sir. Now, how are you sensitizing your people to get to higher ground ahead of the spillage? Honorable Abanga, if you can unmute so we can actually hear what you're saying. Just press the unmute button so we can hear what you're saying. Great.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I can hear you now. So I was asking, how are you sensitizing your people to get to higher ground in anticipation of the spillage?
Okay, so thank you very much. You know, this issue has been happening for some time now, several years, over 10 years now, where anytime this time of the season, then a lot of farmers and communities living along the White Volta suffer the flooding. So, for example, last year we have a situation where in my constituency, in Binduri constituency, and the other constituency on that same stretch had a lot of flooding, and so farmers lost their crops, and some people even lost their life. So this year we started the sensitization early, and on Sunday I was actually in the constituency, and the farmers themselves have realized that they need to move because the time was up, and the NADMO, the National Disaster Management Organization, has been on the ground. And so a lot of the farmers are very much aware that any moment from now, the Bagre Dam will be open. And with the heavy rainfall that we are also experiencing at this moment, there's the most likely that the river will overflow, and they could suffer some flooding in their farms and in their houses. So there's a lot of awareness among our communities along that stretch. I'm confident that if this thing happens, what we are likely to lose is their crops, the farmers. A lot of them are attracted in farming along the banks because, interestingly, the plots along the banks are the most fertile portions of the soil. So they always want to plant their maize and their crops along the banks. And that is what we are likely to lose this year.
Right. Now, a bit of a pointed question. What are you doing in respect of getting the people to understand that they have to evacuate? NADMO is saying that it is experiencing difficulty in getting some of these farmers who are actually reluctant in moving to move over to safety. So what are you doing as Member of Parliament for Binduri?
Yes, we are doing some radio sensitization, community visits. We are talking to them that they have to move. And like I'm saying, for residents, we don't have houses close by the rivers, again, at least in my constituency. But because of their farms, some people always want to go to the farms. And we are telling them that those who have their farms that is ripe, they can quickly harvest it now. And those who do not have anything to do in the riverside at this moment, to just stay away. So there's a lot of sensitization that is going on the ground, radio programs and visit to the communities. That's what we have been doing.
Maybe the final bit I'll put to you, the spillage of the Bagre Dam is not a novelty. It's not a new phenomenon. We know it happens year in and year out. But one situation that could have mitigated the effect is the construction of the Pualugu Dam. Why the delay in constructing the Pualugu Dam?
Yes, the dam is a big project. It's not a project that can just be constructed in a year. And so we are grateful that the government is committed to it. And so a lot of work is going on behind the scenes. We are aware that the contractor was in our communities, sensitizing the community. There has to be some resettlement that has to be done. Some people have to move away because, like you said, the engineers tell us and the experts that once that dam is constructed, this annual flood from the White Volta should be the thing of the past because the river will flow into the dam and then that water will actually be used by the same farmers to crop their farms. So this is a big project, and so we don't expect that it is something that can be done within a year. Of course, the project timelines, I'm sure, extends to more than 2 to 3 years. It's not something that you can use 1 year to construct it. So I am aware that the contractors are on site and they are doing a lot of underground work. So
do you have any idea, pardon the interjection, do you have any idea when we can expect the Pualugu Dam's construction to be complete? Now that you're saying it will take some time, have they given you any idea what to expect for the dam's completion?
I don't have the timelines.
Okay.
But I am aware that it's a project that will take more than 2 to 3 years to construct it. It's not a 1 year time.
Okay. My very final bit to you, it has to do with the farmers and their produce. Now, we often lose lives and we also have farmers losing their produce. They have just about 24 hours. And I hear there are some spaces that have been created for them to move their produce to. Has that happened? Have all of them been able to move or cart their produce to these areas?
Well, I cannot be exact as to whether everybody has complied or everybody was able to do that. But, I mean, even if they are able to move their produce, I'm aware that there are still some crops that they haven't been able to harvest. So, naturally, those crops, if the flooding comes, we are going to lose those crops and it will affect the livelihood of our farmers because most of them, that is where they crop their best, they normally get their best yield, their best harvest comes from the riverside. So we are going to suffer that, and I will take this opportunity to appeal to government and other non-governmental organizations to support us and to support our farmers along that stretch because we are naturally going to suffer some damage when the dam is open today or tomorrow.
Mr. Abdullahi, thank you very much for your time. Abanga Abdullahi is Member of Parliament for Binduri. Now, from the northern region, Martina Bugri reports that some farmers have, on their own, rented temporal structures away from the likely affected areas. She joins us on phone with an update. Martina, from that sector of the northern belt of the country, what can you report about how farmers are trying to avoid the shocks of the spillage?
For the people of Nawuni, most are moving to places they have rented. And like I said earlier in the morning, some are also waiting and hoping that the Ghana Education Service would approve so that they can use the school building that is in the community to house those who are unable to rent or those who are unable to seek shelter elsewhere because they can't afford. But for those who are along the White Volta, who are doing the farming, there's Singer electoral area. We have just 2 communities where some people planted maize, and so they are harvesting as we speak. But the rest who planted rice, the rice is at the reproductive stage, and it's likely that they would have nothing to harvest if the floods come in.
Speaking of which, have we also seen some resistance in this area where farmers are refusing to move, even on the back of the expected spillage?
Because of the previous incidents that have happened in these communities, most people are willing to leave, even though they know that they have nothing they have nothing to take along, and they probably would have to suffer in the subsequent months to come. They think that it's better to move up safer grounds for their own lives' sake so that they can have an opportunity tomorrow. But we have also heard some people resist that they can't leave what they have. And these people, I'm told that they have had to bring in community elders and sometimes chiefs to dialogue with them to try and reason so that they can move them up. And then later on, these outstanding issues can be addressed. And so, yes, we have had people who have resisted, but by and large, majority have agreed that they need to move.
Finally, Martina, what have people shared with you in terms of this perennial problem where year in, year out, they lose their produce, sometimes even life is lost, and the failure for the right measures to be put in place to sort of save them from this inconvenience? What have the people been sharing with you?
I think that what they share is hopelessness. They think that we have lost it. If for several years it keeps happening, each year we have to have people die, people lose their properties, and nothing is being done. They think that all is lost, and all that can save them now is good. For instance, in the Singer area where I talked of earlier, they said that all they are hoping is that God would intervene so that the water does not stay any longer, and then they can have something to harvest. It means that they are not looking up to any other person except God.
Martina Bugri is our Northern Regional Correspondent. Thank you very much for joining us, Martina. Now, moving from there, we get into that situation where crocodiles and other dangerous reptiles are straying into homes from floodwaters that have engulfed several communities at Tempane in the Garo Tempane district of the Upper East region. This is according to the Member of Parliament for Tempane constituency, Lydia Lamisi Akamvariba. Torrential rains in the area have caused serious flooding in the past 3 weeks. The Tamini Dam at near Garu constituency has overflown its boundaries, flooding homes nearby. The crocodiles and other reptiles such as snakes are believed to have migrated from the dam following the displacement of their natural habitat. Here's Member of Parliament for Tempane, Lydia Lamisi.
We are here because of the dump. The water of the dump is becoming increasingly coming up to affect the people of this part of the community. Basically, Gagwiri Natenga. Gagwiri Natenga is part of the constituency of Tempane and the district of Tempane. Currently, we are at the dump site, and all of you can see that the water is affecting the crops of the people of the community, and that is why they are crying for help. It's affecting their houses. It's affecting their economic activities. There used to be a road that they could easily pass from Gagwiri Natenga, Gagwiri Targanga, Bogure, Zambala. Even people from Basunde can pass through to the other side of the constituency to also access marketing, Garu, health facilities and other things. But the dam has affected that route, and it's making it difficult for people to move from here to that part of the constituency. Another issue about it is that because of the rising level of the water, it's affecting the wildlife that is in the dump site, and most of the houses have been infested with crocodiles, snakes, and all manner of reptiles that are in the water. We have an instance where a crocodile enters somebody's house and ate animals. If it's a human being, what do we do? So we are just appealing to the government and the engineers of this project to look at it again. They have resettled other people, but there are some few people that still need resettlement. If they could come and then resettle those that are also affected. Another issue we have to do is about their farmlands. Here, they are peasant farmers. They don't have enough. So if their crops have been affected, what do they have? We want to plead with the government, NADMO, civil society, government and non-governmental organizations to come to their aid. Because today we are looking at it how much is affected. But the whole of the stretch from Gagbiri, Natenga to Gagbiri, Targanga, and beyond, most of the farmers, their crops have been affected, have been submerged in the water. And we are pleading that if we don't solve the issue now, it's going to be that people are going to go hungry, and there will be hunger in this part of our constituency. Already our constituency is tagged as one of the poor districts because they don't have so much economic activities. That is why they are crying now for people, for government, for civil society, government and non-governmental organizations to come to their aid. And we also want to find out from the engineers and government what they are doing now and urgently to make sure that this issue of reptiles entering into people's houses, we are seeing it to be something that is about animals. We don't wait for the crocodiles to begin to eat people before we come to look at it. If there is something that they can do, and do it urgently. We are crying now because this is the rainy season and the peak of it has not started yet. From now up to September ending, it's going to be serious, very, very, very serious. The water level is going to rise more than this. The people are anticipating that it's going to affect their houses actually. So those houses that have not been resettled, we are pleading with the government to come quickly and resettle them.
Well, the floods have also affected several communities, including Gagbiri, Natenga, Bugri, Tariganga, and Zambala. Acres of farmland have already been submerged, and inter-community access routes have been cut off following the overflow of the Tamini Dam. Some of the community members have been speaking about how the floods have affected them. Joining us to bring us up to speed on that development via Zoom is our correspondent Albert Sori, who joins us with updates on that situation. Albert, what can you tell us about the real situation on the ground in terms of what the people are facing on the back of the flooding?
Yes, so in the Timpani areas, one of the major challenges, as you have already mentioned, is the fact that farmlands have been submerged. You heard the MP already talk about that. The other challenge is that inter-community access has also been cut off because several of the roads have been flooded, and because of that, people who want to travel between communities to do business are unable to easily do that. They have to go through a longer distance. There was a woman who spoke to us and talked about, the fact that she now has to spend 8 cities to get to where she normally goes to do her business, when under normal circumstances she would spend 2 cities to travel the same, between the same 2 towns. So that is a challenge. And Barre Dam will be open from tomorrow. And the fears are that the situation in Timpani could get even worse than it is at the moment.
Now, speaking of fear, we've also heard about the invasion of reptiles, including crocodiles and snakes. What have the people been sharing with you on the back of that? We hear one of the crocodiles actually invaded someone's home.
Exactly. So this is something that we found to be a little strange, because it's the first time I am hearing of reptiles invading people's homes. Now, we understand from some of the community members that one of the crocodiles actually hunted down some of their livestock and consumed them. We were not there to see it, but these were the briefings that they gave to the Member of Parliament when she toured the area yesterday. And from her interactions with other people, there were reports of snakes and other reptiles that were sighted in homes. The suspicion is that these were, dangerous animals that were lurking around the dam area in shrubs and bushes and cracks and crevices and things like that. So because of the the overflow of the dam into places where hitherto there was no water, these reptiles have been forced out of their natural habitat, and some of them somehow found their way into people's homes, and they are causing a lot of fear among the residents there.
Well, let's now hear from some of the residents who have also been interacting. Let's hear what they have had to say.
With the dump, but there are so many things that is also affecting us here. One, we have a road here linking to our capital, Garu, where our children passes for their education. That's where our biggest educations are. And the water has taken over the river. We can't cross there again. Initially, a Motor King used to charge just 2 Ghana cedis from Gagbiri here to Garu through that short part. And now that the water has taken that route, we have to go and pass through Tempani to Garu, which is now costing us 8 Ghana cedis. So it's very difficult for our children on education now. Almost 2 weeks now since the water has been locked. For the water to cross, our children have not been going to school. We are at home with the children now because you don't even know what will happen looking at the water. Another issue of it is you can see our crops. The crops are immersed in water. Look at the maize, soya beans, millet, and all these things is affecting us in the community here. More to the point, there are some animals here now biting us. We don't have a health center here. We need a health center who can help us in case of those weapons, animals. We are talking of the dangerous ones like the pythons, reptiles, and the rest that are biting us. In case of night, we need to look for health care, and we don't have a nearby facility with us here.
So this is my farm that the water have taken all away. I use fertilizer about 10 sacks. That is this fertilizer, how do we call it? Yeah, Yara Miller. I use 10 bags here. 1 bag also costs about 220 Ghana cedis in this community. So they come to construct the dam. So we ask them, so our farms, how are we going to do with our farms? They are telling us that the water will take only the valley. The water will not come top of the farms that we can farm. They didn't demarcate where the water level would take for us. So as of now, we've already farmed, the water come and take all my crops. I don't have any rice, maize farm somewhere to take this season. So I'm just standing for nothing. They are telling us that the road that we are talking of too, the road is very, very important for them to do it for us because they didn't do any compensation for us. If they even built a house for you, they are not going to get farm for you to farm. They are telling us that they are going to get the farm back of the dam for us. So where can we get place to cross there and do the farming?
This community, we depend on farming. This is a village we are in. We depend mostly on farming. So when last year we farmed the rice, at least it helped. Some of us, we all understand that somebody has to sell rice or sell something to pay the school fees. But in this case, no. So the person is now hoping how that what is going to be educated. And we also have right, as equal right as every citizen, because we all learn that every citizen have equal right to free education. But this one, there's no, because some people have been denied the education. Because if you cannot go to school, which means you have been denied.
And so those are some residents sharing their plight in this particular situation. Albert, sorry. So what has been the roadmap? What is the way forward as far as the community leaders are concerned? What have they been saying?
Yes, so it's the reason the Member of Parliament was touring the area so that some solutions can be found. And one of the things that she said yesterday was that she's hoping that government through NADMO and other organizations that may see the plight of her people can come and try to help. But just a quick one on the Tamini Dam. This was a dam that was constructed. The construction began in 2016. I remember former President John Mahama cut the sod for the construction of that dam, the expectation was that it will be able to help the people do dry season farming because there was already a valley in the area. So this dam would help collect all the water that was already in the area. These people who have been affected today, when resettlement was done, the engineers did not anticipate that a disaster like this could happen in times to come. So even though some people were resettled, these people were not because they did not think that the water could overflood and get to where they are. And that is why we have the situation we have today.
Albert, sorry, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed. Albert is our Upper East regional correspondent. Now, the Member of Parliament for the Nadoli-Kalio constituency, Anthony Suma Mwenkara, is calling for more relief items for victims of the August 12 flash floods in the Upper West region. He said the relief items presented by the National Disaster Management Organization is not enough, considering the magnitude of the disaster in the region. Anthony Mwenkara made the call when he donated some relief items to victims of the floods in the Nadoli-Kalio constituency. JoyNews Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Nadoli.
Initial assessment done by the National Disaster Management Organization on the violent flash floods that occurred in the Upper West region put the number of persons affected at 1,605. The number of households affected by the floods were 80, totaling 336 persons. A total of 702 farms were also destroyed. Some major roads were cut off by the torrential rains. Bituminous surfaces and gravel on some major roads were washed off, leaving the culverts and bridges. The only shorter access road to the Nadoli-Kalio district capital, though part of the roads affected by the violent floods, is located on the Somboda-Fema Road. Here, the youth of the area, on their own volition, mobilized to gather stones and gravel, heap them on the waterways to enable commuters have easy access. Member of Parliament for the Nadoli-Kalio constituency, Anthony Suma Mwenkara, who used the road, was commending the youth for the work done, called on the roads minister, Kwesi Amankwata, to live by his words by fixing the roads quickly.
This is under DBI constituency, but it has become our major route because our main route has been cut off completely and we cannot. And even here, you can observe that, but for the ingenuity of the people to be able to carry in some rocks to work on the place, it will be difficult for us to access our district. So I think that we require a major intervention and it must be immediate. The rains haven't stopped. We are still experiencing rains, and from every indication, if we have any heavy rain again, even the work the people have volunteered to do here will come to naught, and it will mean that we will have no means of accessing the district at all. So once again, we are calling on the roads minister to live by the word he gave us, that within a week, they will commence work.
Already, work on fixing the One Nadoli Highway has begun in earnest at the Goridi section of the road by P&W Ghanem. Bulldozers and contractors are currently on site, digging, piling and compacting gravel to fix the road in order to open it up to traffic. The Nadoli-Kalio MP later donated some relief items to the affected victims of the flood.
Their farmlands have been washed off, their food crops, their livestock have all been affected. So it is imperative. Central government through NADMO gave some relief items, and I indicated that it was inadequate. And everyone who has a concern for the people of this district should come on board to assist. It's in the light of this that I am bringing this token of a donation. I call it token because if you look at what I have here and the magnitude of the disaster, this cannot be a respite for the people. I have about 150 bags of rice, 50 baskets of fish, kita boys, I think 22 cartons of oil, 20 bags of salt, and then about 44 cartons of tinned tomato to donate jointly to PM and the coordinating director. You know the extent of the damage, and you'll be better placed to get this into the real affected persons.
Presiding member of the Nadoli-Kalio District Assembly, Osbert Dambier, who received the items on behalf of the victims, thanked the MP for the kind gesture, pledging to ensure that they are sent to the affected victims of the flood.
Items will go down truly to the affected people. It is they who are suffering it. And we must make sure that every little item we receive goes down to them.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Nadoli.
There are more stories coming your way right here on The Pulse on JoyNews with me, Benjamin Akakwa. We take a break. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Thank you for staying with us on The Pulse right here on Joy News with me, Benjamin Akakwa. Now, Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey is urging presiding members to intensify the sensitization drives at the district level to ensure efforts by the Regional Coordinating Council to decongest the capital are sustained. Lamenting weak enforcement of bylaws is the bane of the local government administration, Mr. Quartey said the indiscipline of constituents and failure of stakeholders to crack the whip is frustrating the Make Accra Work agenda. Mr. Quartey was speaking at the Greater Accra Presiding Members Conference earlier today.
The relocation of Agbogloshi markets to Ajen Kotoku has not only brought smiles to the bulk onion sellers and other traders who used to operate there, but it has boosted the local economy at the Ga municipality and also created the opportunity for Ablekuma Central Assembly to benefit from the Agenda 111 initiative of His Excellency, the President. The decongestion of Madina Zongo Junction and Farisco UTC roads is a clear testimony that if we tackle indiscipline on the roads, we can increase productivity. Honorable presiding members, these gains cannot be sustained if the RCC has to come to your jurisdiction to undertake your functions for you. You must rise to the occasion by taking advantage of the goodwill created by the agenda to provide the leadership required to change the narrative. Assemblies have been lambasted for uncontrolled developments, poor sanitation, a lack of provision of basic services, sprawling of informal settlements, financial impropriety, as evidenced by the Auditor General's report, just to mention a few. Weak enforcement of our laws is the bane of local government administration in the region. The onus therefore lies on you as presiding members and key stakeholders at the local level to engage your constituents through intensive public awareness programs and sensitization on poor sanitation, regularized community activities, and stakeholder engagements. You are requested to start sensitizing all stakeholders within your jurisdiction with respect to these two documents immediately. Adopt strategies that will ensure that every citizen living within your jurisdiction is covered. Go to the churches, the mosques, funerals, lorry parks, markets, local radio stations, and use your house-to-house approaches, if possible, to disseminate the documents to the people. The RCC is facilitating the publication and gazetting of the bylaws to enable us to launch the two documents for full-scale implementation very soon. We are still waiting for your coordinating directors to return the signed bylaws to the RCC to complete the process. Indeed, if we are able to reap the full benefits of the bylaws, assemblies must make provision for space for the creation of transfer stations at strategic locations to facilitate the collection and storage of waste.
And that was the Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey. Let's talk now about the construction of the National Cathedral, which has received a boost with a 50,000 CD contribution from the National Chief Imam. Sheikh Sharabutu is hopeful the money will facilitate the speedy construction of the national edifice, which is also expected to serve as a tourist site to earn revenue for the country. Board chair of the National Cathedral, Apostle Dr. Onyina, was excited about the rare move by the chief imam, adding this should be an example for all faiths to emulate. Hannah Odame has more in this report.
This rare move, according to the chief imam, was made with hopes that it will facilitate the speedy construction of the national edifice. He spoke through an interpreter.
When we want to commission our mosque, we commission it together, Muslims and Christians. Amen. So one day, as we come, we reciprocate. In this regard, I also will do some symbolic or token, contribution. In my view, this will further strengthen the solidarity and goodwill between Muslims and Christians.
Board chair of the project, Apostle Dr. Opoku Onyina, was hopeful the gesture will be emulated by people of all faiths.
We are overwhelmed and lost of words. This is not a small thing at all. It's a big something that is very, very big. It's great. And I think many people, including Christians and Muslims, are going to follow what he has done.
Dr. Onyina also urged those criticizing the construction of the project to conduct further research to know how it will benefit the country when completed.
I know that they have not understood it, and that is why they are talking about it. But if you haven't understood something, it's better to keep quiet, make research into it, understand it before you speak. Otherwise, we lose our value as Christians.
The board chair was hopeful at least 100 cedis a month consistently for a year, which will be enough funding for the construction of the project.
On the 5th of September, all the pastors in Accra, their spouses, and Christian leaders are meeting at the oil dome of the Royal House Chapel to launch our fundraising strategies in order that we'll be able to put up the National Cathedral. Maybe not everybody will get 100 Ghana cedis a month, but for estimate purpose, budgetary purpose, we are saying that if you are able to give a minimum of 100 Ghana cedis, even if you are able to do it within 1 year, you will get enough money to put it.
For JoyNews, I am Hannah Odame.
Well, from there, we tell you about how Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says the decision to clean the banking sector was painful but very necessary. According to him, data from the Bank of Ghana at the time indicated the country's financial system was on the brink of a total collapse, a situation he described as scary. This follows concerns raised by the General Secretary of the Industrial and Workers Union, Solomon Kote, over the decision to shut down the banks, which he says impacted negatively on their members. In the view of Mr. Kote, government's approach in handling the sector was too harsh. We'll hear from the Vice President shortly, but first let's listen to Solomon Kote speaking at the opening ceremony of the Industrial and Commercial Union's 11th Quadrennial Delegates Conference.
Our union will not support any financial system that treats unsuspecting depositors, the majority of which are from the informal, their hard-earned income. So, Mr. Vice President, what is our problem as a trade union organization regarding the cleanup exercise? The unions, as we believe the financial sector at the time could be likened to a patient needing proper medical care to cure it completely of whatever ailment was troubling it, the pills administered appeared to be too bitter to the extent that they induce so much vomiting to the detriment of the community. So, Vice President, we again liken this to a surgeon who not waits for anesthetist and go ahead and cut and saying that if I don't do that, you will die. So I have to cut you and breathe without the anesthetist. This is what we saw. What the union is trying to say is that we are of the view that the cleaning up exercise was done in somewhat harsh manner, affecting employment in diverse ways.
as we witnessed in the loss of jobs by many employees who were affected in the microfinance company, 345. This triggered unnecessary general panic among workers in the financial sector and attracted harsh criticism from people of all walks of life, including the 10 closed commercial banks. We will also be quick to say that many of those who lost their jobs were compensated by government, and some few unlucky ones who found themselves in the wrong microfinance companies were. Mr. Vice President, it is the biggest worry to the ICU, where most of our members lost their jobs, and as of now, no restoration. Even though compensation were paid, the compensation didn't write off debts they owe that they thought they could pay within a period of time were all deducted at a go. Hence, what they took as their net benefit was nothing to write home about. We are still on our knees, expecting that something pragmatic will be done about this.
But in a sharp rebuttal, the Vice President disagrees. Speaking at the same event, Dr. Bawumia likened the mess in the banking sector to cancer in the throat, which needed to be cut off to avert a further spread of the virus. He argued that investment of about 4.6 million depositors were safeguarded in the process.
It was so scary, I must tell you, and I can say that now, because at that time, of course, we couldn't come out to say the banks were about to collapse, but we were probably days away. It was that scary when the governor presented the state of the banking system and how it was worsening. And you had already started seeing in some savings and loans companies and some microfinance companies, some had shut down. Some had shut down and some were not paying. A customer will go and ask for their deposit and they will say, go and come back, go and come back. And we were teetering on the brink of a collapse of the entire system. Because once you start a run on one bank, then the entire system goes. And that was what we faced. It was a very scary prospect. The decision to clean up the financial sector was painful, but had to be undertaken. It is one thing to recognize the problem, and many people recognize the problem. In fact, the previous government, as Brother Solomon Kote said, recognized the problem. But it takes courage to tackle the problem. After all, government is not elected to make easy decisions. It is the hard decisions that often distinguish a good government from a not so good government. In the end, we saved the banking system and the bigger financial system and safeguarded the hard-earned lifetime investments of 4.6 million depositors, many of whom are workers. We would have had a collapse, and this economy would not have recovered that easily if everybody lost their savings in the bank. We had to pay 21 billion Ghana cedis to save the deposits of depositors at the banks, savings and loans and microfinance institutions, to make sure there's confidence in our banking system. Without that rescue package, that spending of that 21 billion, we would have been in a different case. I mean, the question, of course, arises, was this too bitter a pill? Did we go overboard? Did the Bank of Ghana go overboard? But you had a situation where you had a cancer and it's on your toe. And if you don't cut it off, it is going to spread. And we had to cut it off.
Well, staying on matters tied to money, have you heard of the Joker virus, which can empty your bank account? On Tech Thursday, we'll hear from a global cybersecurity expert on how to protect yourself from being attacked by this virus. That is still to come on The Pulse. Do stay. We'll be back after this break.
Hello, my name is Evans Mensah, and you can relive all the fun and excitement on
Top Story, Newsnight, and of course, Ghana Connect via podcast. All you need to do is to log on to myjoyonline/podcast. Search for your favorite show and relive the moment. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Well, have you recently been noticing any reduction in your mobile money account without any transactions at all? Do you have a higher level of data usage? Perhaps your phone has been attacked by a dangerous Android phone virus known as the Joker virus. On today's edition of Tech Thursday, we engage global cybersecurity expert Dr. Kester Quist-Afechi on how to protect yourself from being attacked. Also in the studio with me is Kobe Spiky Nkrumah. He's our in-house tech guru and host of Geek Squad on Joy FM. Let me turn now to Spiky quickly. Break it down for us. It's actually not a virus. It's a Trojan, right?
Well, yeah, it's malware. It's a Trojan.
It's malware.
I mean, if you know the story of Troy, you've seen the movie Troy, you know the Trojan horse and how it seems like it's a good thing, but then inside it you have something that is malicious. So that's pretty much what the Joker virus is.
So this is the tech form of maybe dada. And in the end, you'll suffer the consequences.
Pretty much.
Okay, so we know it is a Trojan and it belongs to a family called bread.
Yes.
Now, break it down for us. This is very techie stuff. What does it really mean?
So, I mean, if you know the slang bread, when someone says, I'm about to make some bread, I'm about to make some money, right?
Yep.
So it's a virus that's responsible for a lot of financial fraud. So either it's going to be sending SMSs to premium numbers or it's going to be using your accounts to make payments. Now, if you've noticed on your Google apps or in your apps you've downloaded from the Play Store, you can make payments with your mobile money or your Vodafone Cash or any other mobile money platform that you're using.
Right.
And these apps can do this without your knowledge. You know, so most of the time people download apps. So someone's looking for a scanner, which is one of the apps that I noticed was on the list of affected apps.
A lot of scanner apps are on that list.
Scanner apps. People are looking for an app that they can use to scan a document. So you download that app, your mind is, oh, I'm just using it to scan a document, I'm done, I'll delete. I don't delete it, stays on my phone. Now such an app could subscribe to a premium version of itself without you even authorizing. Now that's what these apps are doing.
And why they are usually subscribing to premium versions and the rest is that those cost more.
They cost more,
obviously. And so it's going to put
so
quite a dent in your pocket. It's 2017, I believe, which was the first time when we found out about this Joker Trojan or virus. But now it is back in 2020 and it's even more malicious, so to speak. It's not taking just $7 like it was doing initially. From what we hear, it's doing even more damage to people's accounts.
So, you know, there's a popular saying that the more the bird learns how to fly without perching, the hunter's going to learn to shoot without missing. And the hunters being Google have been battling bread for a long time. They've been battling the Joker virus for 3 years. And up till about last year, 2020, about 1,700 apps were removed from the Play Store.
Wow.
Which were either suspected malicious activities, or some of them were using a technique called versioning. So they would upload the legal or the clean version of the app, which has no virus, and then subsequently upload an update that actually has the Trojan. So when you download it, it's clean. Google Play services and the Play Protect service, which basically checks your phone to make sure any app you're downloading is not infected, would check and realize, oh, it's fine. But then when it gets to the updates, then they put it in there, you download the update, and then now you have bread, you have the Joker virus on your phone.
Wow. Let me cross over to Zoom now and engage Dr. Kester Quist-Afechi. Now, how bad is the situation really? How dangerous is it? How much is it affecting Android users across the globe in terms of this current attack?
Yeah, it's affecting a lot of global users, and Ghana also has been on the map as one of the key targets of the Joker virus. And what the first person said earlier is true. And they've targeted countries where they've advanced in fintech. And then they are also using these financial services like mobile money payments and other payments. And you realize that sometimes people store their credit card details also on certain apps and also on their phones and also in their web browsers. And these can be used by the Joker virus to transact transactions, because even if it's request for a one-time part through your SMS, because the Joker virus application, the Joker virus within the application can read your SMS message. It can use those codes to automatically authenticate the transaction on your behalf without you actually doing it. And this has been embedded in a lot of apps on Play Store, and it's very difficult for Google to fish out all of them because it is within genuine apps that have been built, and then people can install them, and the Joker virus will take action from that step onwards.
Now, this is the second time that we're having to deal with this Joker malware. And for the second time, it is targeting Android devices. The question is why?
Yeah, because of the way anybody at all can just build an Android application without the rigor of verification, can upload it to Play Store, and other people can download it and use. And that is why most of those places are of more of a target. So besides that, it would have been very difficult in terms of the rigorous verification that take place. It doesn't mean that malware cannot exist on other applications also as well. Malwares can be built across because it depends on what the developer of the applications wanted to do. For instance, we have developed similar applications that we've used for training and as test cases where we embed certain codes within the applications, and then we study it in terms of how they work. And also, this embedding has been in place. So you need a particular way of monitoring the application based on where they are sending the data to. You can track that and also monitor certain activities on the phone and use that to determine whether there is a malicious activity on it or not. And that is why these days they are engaging a lot of artificial intelligence approaches in terms of malware analysis and cybersecurity on real time on phones these days.
Let's come back into the studio. So, like Doc has been saying, AI, artificial intelligence being employed to ensure all of these. I know that Google, on the back of the first attack in 2017, put in place some mechanisms. It appears those who are behind the Joker virus have found an alternate route.
Yes, I mean, like initially, as I said, hackers will always find a way to circumvent all these measures that have been put to prevent them from making these viruses work.
You shut the door, they find a window.
Pretty much, that's how it's working right now. So the thing is, it's easy markets, the Play Store, because the volume, and that's how they're going to make money. I mean, think about it. If you're making $7, if you have over 1,000 users, multiply that $7 by 1,000, that's 7,000, which is why they're targeting the Play Store users, because of the volume. There's a whole lot of people on the Play Stores. It's an affordable market. Smartphones, Android smartphones are affordable. They're cheaper as compared to their competition, which are more expensive. And also considering the fact that, like Doc mentioned, the rigorous verification processes that you have to go through with other platforms. With Play Store, because of the volume, once again, the number of apps that are submitted, you don't have to go through a lot of verification processes, and it's even cheaper. Submitting an app to the Play Store versus other stores is actually cheaper. So any Tom, Dick, and Harry could submit an app. I mean, I could build an app today and submit it, and it could get verified easily. And AI is not perfect. Today, I was even demonstrating something that AI could do. It can do, as much, about 70%, and then it would miss some things. There are always false positives, and there are also negatives that can easily be missed. So trusting AI to do everything can sometimes also be limiting, because it hasn't gotten to the point where it is that advanced to be autonomous that we can leave everything to. If it was that case, we wouldn't be sitting here reading the news. We'd have an AI reading the news and we'd be at home sipping some coffee, no?
You know what my summary of what you've just said would be? Artificial intelligence has its limits when it comes to intelligence.
Pretty much.
But let's look at this. How are hackers benefiting from this? Because as far as I see it, they are funneling money. Let's say you're paying for premium service when it comes to, let's say, Truecaller or some app, maybe even a dating app. How are they getting to benefit from this? At what end do they get the benefits?
So they're getting the benefits from some of these apps that they're paying for. It's actually their own apps that you're paying for the premium.
Right.
So it's sort of a way to channel the money back to them without actually hacking you to get the money directly. So it's legal. You can't sue me for money that you pay to me directly. You get it? So if I developed an app and I put in a virus that was going to steal your money to pay for the premium version of that app,
right?
If you ever arrested me and then said, hey, I stole your money, really? Did I have evidence that you actually paid for something in my app? I never stole the money. So you see, it's a way to get the money without actually coming to steal it directly from you.
Now, Doc, let me come back to you on this bit. One interesting solution is that Google at the outset in 2017 came through with mechanisms to forestall what we are seeing now. But it has happened again because they tried to prevent, put in place certain mechanisms. But what these hackers have found is that they can go about the process without your consent, without my consent. They don't need me to be able to funnel my money to make those payments. What would you suggest should be some of the initiatives Google and other outfits should put in place, even those who create applications, to prevent the Joker virus from infesting their applications?
Yeah, I think users will have to opt for options where they have to use different emails for the verification of transactions. In that case, to be very difficult for the Joker virus to have access to some of the emails on their phones. And that will make it very difficult. But if you have SMS, because different applications have access to SMS messages on your phone, it is easy for them to read from those SMS messages and use it to authenticate the transactions. And also, I think various banking institutions will also need to, and fintech will also need to come out with different levels of verification that will make it very difficult for such self-automating processes to take place. But one of the interesting things is that when you try to make security more tough, you try to create some degree of inconvenience for the users. So I think there should be option for users to opt for that, and that will make it much more easier for them, because within the hacking community also, we have other hackers also that provide information as to how they will have to improve those kind of applications. And then we also develop different approaches and advise secure programming in terms of how to develop certain applications to make it much more secure. So for users, the best thing is that using SMS for the verification, that option can be opted out, and then you can stick to emails when you are subscribing for things that have to do with the engaging your mobile application. And I think that will make it much secure. But when you are on the website doing transactions, you can also opt for the SMS, because it's very difficult for such messages to also to be sent to the web. So it's easy for you to authenticate web transactions using your mobile phone, and also easy to authenticate your mobile phone transactions with the web applications. In that case, it makes it much more secure for you for now. But besides that, it will be very difficult since these applications are embedded on the phone and then they do the analysis on their own. It's going to take some time before different applications will be built to have that kind of robust capability to be analyzing certain activities on your phone, and also to restrict those options within the Android applications to ensure that users actually enter from that is they use the key press to kind of enter certain things rather than using instructions from self-automated processes. So these are some of the approaches that can be used to also prevent it.
Right. Let's come back into the studio, and I want us to do some things very quickly. We're going to look at what to do as ordinary folk to prevent being attacked. But in terms of what to do, I know there are some, antiviruses and all of that. Are any of them able to, do away with the effect of Joker yet?
So it's possible that some antiviruses could detect the apps, but they only detect apps, viruses based on signatures that have been discovered. So when you say signatures, for instance, if we know that this malware, this is how it acts, then antivirus is then taught that anytime you see an activity like this, it means it's suspicious, so flag it. But
kind of like how vaccines work with.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you have to, if it hasn't been detected, that antivirus is as useless as you, the ignorant person using that device. So the most important thing is for the user to be educated, which is something that we're doing now.
Right.
So a lot of times we tell people, go for the apps that have the best ratings on the store. But these guys have a way of boosting their ratings on the Play Store by faking good reviews, which push the negative reviews down. So you might see that, this app has a bad review, is bad. You've experienced it. You go give a bad review. They would come in and post about 50 good reviews that pushes your bad review down.
Right.
So the best thing is to go for apps developed by known developers. I don't download apps like I saw a keyboard from a certain developer.
But sorry for the interjection. When you say known developers and the rest, Charlie, the ordinary Tom, Dick, and Harry or Abena, Ajua, and Manta going on Google Play Store to download. Who is a known whatever? They're really not taking notice of all these things.
But that's why, you see, it's a new space and people are learning, so they have to take into consideration some of these things. It's like when banking started, we let's assume that a lot of people didn't just get up and go put their money in the bank.
Right.
They began to get to know that, oh, this bank is good, this bank is bad. If I told you that, oh, go and drop your money in Fanchinacor banking, would you do that? You don't know the bank.
I don't know the bank.
Exactly. So you do your research, ask a friend who's techie and find out from them, hey, is this a good app to download before you download it? Because some apps actually come looking professional, looking good. I've been a victim before. I saw an app, I'm like, oh, this would be good. I downloaded it and boy, it had so many things I didn't want.
Wow.
Okay, so I know this. Somebody may not know, but if you asked me, oh, I want to download it, I'll tell you don't.
Okay, so number one, verify. No, this must come from a known developer.
Yes.
Okay. What else should we be looking at?
You'd see the names of the developers right underneath the app. You'd see if it's from Google, you see Google. You can actually tap on it and see other apps they've developed.
Right.
And then two, I mean, this goes without saying, but you should check online what is happening right now. So the list of apps that have been dropped, the cam scanner, almost every phone right now has a scanner.
So can we take a look at the list of the apps? Because we actually have these apps, they've been taken off already.
Yes, they've been taken off already by Google. So if you still have them on your phone, you should look at taking them off. So number one is auxiliary message, element scanner, fast magic SMS, free cam scanner, travel wallpapers, and there are more. So I think best thing we could do is we would post them on our social media so people would know which ones they are and then take them off.
I'm seeing Hummingbird PDF converter.
Yes.
So basically those that are the guilty ones, scanner apps, photo
Wallpaper,
apps, wallpaper apps, emoticon apps, and all of that are in there. So you really, really need to be careful. We can't walk you through all of them, but I believe we'll be putting that online. My final bit. So for all these payments that are made online, I pay my electricity bill, for example, online, DSTV online. That means I am susceptible, right?
Yes, because you've added your credit card details to your phone or your laptop.
Or my mobile money.
Or your mobile money. On my phone, same thing. But I noticed one thing, and which buttresses Dr. Kester's point, using a different email. So today I had a different phone that I have a different account tied to it, and I paid for a different app on my phone, and I was trying to install it on that phone, but I couldn't make that payment on that phone because the account was different. So that's another security step that you could take. You can sign into a disposable email on your device, and then when you want to make a payment, you use your authentic email to make that payment. So it's not always on the device. You only sign in when you need to make that payment.
Well, Spiky, this conversation is definitely going to continue, and we're going to keep getting abreast of this development. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Kobe Spiky is our in-house tech guru, and he's also host of Geek Squad on Joy FM. You can join him every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Joy 99.7 FM. We're also joined by global cybersecurity expert, Dr. Kester Quist-Afechi. Dr. Quist-Afechi, thank you so much for your company, for joining the discussion. We take a break here. When we return, we bring you sports. Do stay.
What's up, guys? My name is Sammy Forson, host of the Weekend City Show and Ignition right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Well, anytime you happen to be busy and you miss out on your favorite shows right here on Joy FM, here's what you can do. Log on to myjoyonline.com/podcast. Just go on there and you'll find all your shows on demand 24/7. There you can catch up. Remember, Joy FM remains your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Hello there, Hans Mensando here with a spot on the pulse. The journey for European club football glory begins with the draw, which is currently ongoing, and we'll be taking a look at the updates so far. Our own Michael Essien
is involved in the pooling of the lots to determine which teams will be in the various groups. But some ceremony, some awards have been handed out. We are supposed to know which players have been named as the best players in various positions for the season under review. And we'll go quickly to the UEFA Champions League Twitter page and check out what has been happening so far. So an honorary award to those who have been tagged as heroes. Simon Kier and the medical team that saved the life of Christian Eriksen at Euro 2020. The UEFA President's Award that has been handed to Simon Kier and the medical team. Also, Chelsea's goalkeeper, 9 clean sheets from 12 matches. Edward Mendy has been named the Champions League goalkeeper of the season. And of course, the ceremony is still ongoing. We'll be checking out the pots pretty shortly and try to determine which teams will be ending up where and what the group of death is likely to look like. So pot 1 has got Chelsea, Villarreal, Atletico Madrid, Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Lille, and Sporting Lisbon. Pot 2 has Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, Manchester United, Paris Saint-Germain, Liverpool, Sevilla, and Borussia Dortmund. In pot 3, there is FC Porto, Ajax, RB Leipzig, Atalanta, Zenit St. Petersburg, Benfica, Red Bull Salzburg, Shakhtar Donetsk. Pot 4 has Besiktas, Dynamo Kiev, Club Brugge, Young Boys, AC Milan, Wolfsburg, Malmo, and Sheriff Tiraspol. So those are the pots that the teams will be drawn from to determine the groups for this season's UEFA Champions League group stages. Joining me is my colleague Oreku Ampofo with some perspective. Oreku, what is the possible group of death that you envisage from the pots that we've seen? That's
a tough one. That's a tough one. But I'd go with Chelsea, our defending champions, probably the most informed team from pot 1. And pot 2, I'll go with Paris Saint-Germain, since you can't choose, teams from the same association.
Okay.
So Paris Saint-Germain, I feel they've strengthened.
Okay.
Have Lionel Messi now reunited with Neymar, so they are really going to be a force. And in pot 3,
so Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
Okay.
In pot 3, I think I'm going to go with Mohamed Kudus's Ajax. I think they might be the strongest side. They're just about edging over Atalanta. And in pot 4,
AC Milan.
I'll go AC Milan. Last time they were here was 7 years ago. So imagine a group like that.
That would be some group. And of course, Shakhtar Donetsk also really do cause problems. You can't really tell what they'll be doing in the Champions League, but they come in with shockers every now and then. Be they losing by wide margins or, surprising one of the big boys.
Yeah, and I think one factor that you forgot was facing Man City. That's what they love to do in the Champions League. They always find themselves in a Man City group. And, when they qualified yesterday, the Man City account went to quote their tweet and welcome them to the Champions League. And we know how that ends, usually when you face Man City in the Champions League group stage. But, yeah, I think aside Shakhtar Donetsk, there are some teams in there who can really cause an upset.
Absolutely.
You look at the likes of Atalanta, and even FC Sheriff, which has Ghanaian midfielder Edmond Ado in there.
Speaking of that Ghanaian, we are looking at 4 Ghanaians in the group stage of the Champions League.
Yeah.
Which players are we looking at apart from Mohamed Kudus and the one you mentioned?
Well, so there's Malik from Malmo,
okay,
and there's an asterisk on one as well. That's Kamal Soa from Leicester. As reported, Joy Sports confirmed that a deal would happen from Leicester to Club Brugge. So we are banking on that to be confirmed. Remember, registration for the Champions League hasn't taken place yet, and so the transfer window is still open. We know that he would be signing with them. So if he does join, which is likely to happen sooner rather than later, that would complete the quartet for Ghanaians in the Champions League group stage.
Interesting. Well, there's some update. Let's check out the UEFA Champions League Twitter handle, and as you can see, we're seeing some of the teams already drawn into some of the groups. Group G has Lille, French side Lille in Group G. Group F has Spanish side Villarreal in there. Bayern Munich from Germany find themselves in Group E. Group D has Inter Milan. Group C has Sporting Lisbon also in there. Can we see Group B? Is that determined? Okay, not yet. So, like I said, the draw is still ongoing. We've talked about the Ghanaian interest. We've talked about a possible group of death. And, of course, we'll bring you up all the updates. Check out my Joy Online /sports. And then later at 7:40 p.m., we'll bring you the very latest on this on the Joy News Prime. Thank you very much, Ureku. My name is Hans Mensah, and this has been the Sport on Pulse.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Atto. You can catch up with all the fun and inspiration on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM, together with all other shows over and over again. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to myjoyonline.com/podcast and relive all of those fun moments over and over again. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Well, it is a wrap. It's been thrilling coming your way this evening with The Pulse. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. But coming up next, we bring you LTS.
You're welcome to Let's Talk Showbiz here on the JoyNews channel. And today we're doing it a bit different because I'm hanging out with one good musician. He's doing amazing for himself. But it's been a whole back and forth back then. But he's okay now and he's definitely ready to roll. His name is Yao Beck, formerly of Highly Spiritual. I don't know whether he's still there. Maybe we'll get to ask him. Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Thank you, Madam Doreen. I'm fine.
If you call me Madam again, we'll box you on the show.
Oh, no, Madam means a lady. Every lady be Madam. So.
Please call me Doreen.
Okay, Doreen.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
You look amazing.
Thank you. You too. Yourself.
Thank you. I understand you have a new project you're working on. But before that, is it a project from Highly Spiritual or this is you?
Oh, this is actually from myself, Yao Beck, and New Accra Communications.
Oh, okay.
We have a partnership right now that we put in more works out because we were a bit reluctant. We've not been consistent for a while now, so this time we decided to give the people like back-to-back songs and then see how it goes. Yeah.
So now you work with them and not Highly Spiritual?
No, please.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna. So tell me. I mean, we'll come back to that conversation. But tell me, what's this new project about?
Yeah, so it's titled Banana. It's actually a single.
Okay.
I featured Kwame MP on it, and Sam Snee played the instrumental. He produced the song. So Banana actually talks about like a lady who is like really nice. We got the Banana title out of the line in a song, "My bow-legged girl, your legs na banana."
Hey.
Yes, so anybody with bold leg, like it looks like banana. So that was where we picked the irony from to have the title and the song. So I wrote my part, Kwame MP wrote his part. We made a magic and the video was shot.
What's it about this new name I keep hearing from most of you young musicians, Sam Snee? Like, I think I've heard Mr. Drew talk about him. I've heard you talk about him. I've heard Kelvin Boy talk about him. What's the new thing about him?
Okay, so the thing is, Sam Snee was actually part of us when we got signed initially on Highly Spiritual Music.
Okay.
Yes.
But of course, we all knew you were also part of a team that was signed on to Highly Spiritual.
Right.
And yes, you had your issues with KWA. Right. Was it after that you left and then started doing your own thing?
Yeah, after that, I had to part ways with the label, because it was a whole, back and forth. So after, I signed out. I had to do things my way. I initially even didn't want to really go back or come back into music because that whole incident that happened wasn't something planned. It wasn't something I really wished for. So it pinned me down and I never even wanted to come back to music, but I kept getting messages and social media, people, oh Charlie, when you did drop. So just recently, Guru, senior man Guru, big shout outs to Guru. Guru put me on his new record, I Can't Feel My Legs, and people love the song and they are like, so Charlie, why you did? Yeah. So we just sat down and thought of, starting to bring more songs because the songs, they're more deep. I did this Banana song with Kwame some time ago. Yeah,
so you're now releasing it.
Right now, we bring more songs.
So would you say that your issue with KWA really affected you and your brand?
Yeah, it didn't affect my brand because And one way or the other, to say good, the good part or the good aspect of it, it was showbiz. We all had trends. KW's name was mentioned, my name was mentioned. Let's talk about like the good side of it, yeah. So it has helped me, my brand, but it affected me morally because it wasn't something I was praying for or wishing for or wanting to do, say, I turn a bad person in the eyes of everybody. Now, it wasn't part of my list, so that thing really got to me. But to talk of it making my brand go down, no, I don't think so. It delayed me. I wasn't in the right shape to be releasing songs. That's how come I've been delayed, yeah. So I was delayed.
You were delayed. So at that particular point in time, me as a person who probably watched you and saw what was going on, I felt a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but
right.
you as a musician, as a human being, not a star,
right.
at home, what was going through your mind when all these things were happening, considering the fact that people said you were ungrateful, people said you're a bad person, people were not happy about everything that was happening. I mean, how did you feel as a person back at home, watching all this happening in the media space and all?
After I rendered the official apology to my godfather Kewa, I always thought of it. I always thought of it that if I could go back into time, like I'll go back and the first move that I even made that caused this whole thing, like I would not even do it. That was all I was thinking about. If I wish I could go back into time, like I would change the first move I made that caused this whole thing. Because me coming into the industry, I came with love. Independently, it was a love song. I don't know where the hatred came from. So I wish I could go back to undo all of that. But I mean, time doesn't give us that chance. So I mean, we live on still.
But how is your relationship like with Kewa at the moment?
Oh, my big boss, my Don Papa, right now we did cool. If you call him, if you text him anytime, if you go through for church service and stuff, for counseling and everything. So right now we are cool. The man is completely cool with me. I'm completely cool with him. So yeah.
And then your colleagues. I didn't see you at Mr. Drew's album listening. What happened?
This thing, they ask me again. Oh,
yes.
Nah, no day town.
I mean, I was there for coverage.
Yeah, nah, no day town.
But were you invited?
I feel like, invitation, honestly, me, I wasn't invited. But I'm this kind of person who don't wait for invitation. If I know you, if I hear, oh, Doreen is doing this, you didn't invite me. Probably you had a lot on your mind. I take it like that. If I have to support you, I'll just come. Forget, say, you go talk, say, oh, Charlie, come, and I say, let me, my brothers. The last time I went to support Creamy's birthday inside Green Lounge, nobody called me there. Yeah, I just went to support, you know. So I mean, I was just not in town. I would have just passed through. Can't say cry.
I mean, away from that, I mean, let me just go on a break to talk about this. When we come back, we'll talk more about your music, your albums, and projects you're coming up. But before we go on the break, just so you know, we have just 7 more days for Lateef Abubakar's play, and as part of the endorsement, we have actor Ekosmith Asante and also another renowned personality who joined him in endorsing the play. So just keep counting and let's take a listen to them. When we come back, there's more on Yaubek.
My name is Sadiq Adams. Something must kill a man in 7 days. This is an open-air theater by my man, your man, and our man, Lateef Abubakar, happening live at the Labadi Beach Hotel on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of September 2021, 7 p.m. each night. Remember, something must definitely kill a man. Come, let's have fun, and also learn about team building.
Something must kill a man in 8 days. My name is Ekosmith Asante, and this is a play by Lateef Abubakar. It's an open-air theater happening at the Labadi Beach Hotel on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of September, 7 p.m. each night. Come and learn about team building. Come and learn about something killing.
Right, so that was Ekosmith Asante, and of course it's all about Lateef Abubakar's play, Something Must Kill a Man. We all can't wait to go and see this play on the 2nd and on the 3rd of September. Well, I've been hanging out here with a musician, Yao Beck, who has a new song he calls Banana.
Right.
The title is quite funny, but hey, when it comes to musicians, they are really creative and they can come up with anything, and it's always a good one for all of us. So now that you're working with the new label, which you call, what's the name again?
It's actually not a label, it's like a movement.
It's a movement.
New Accra Communications.
New Accra
Communications. So we all communicate, we connect.
This is
they try to
interesting.
connect with the people.
Oh, so it's a movement.
It's a movement.
So are you the
it's not
only
like
artist
a label.
on it? Or
I'm the only artist.
Okay.
Yeah, they handle Book Me World as well, where you can get like other artists to book for a show, event or whatever.
Okay.
That's what they do. And I'm part and parcel of them. They're trying to push my stuff.
Oh,
for
that's
me as well,
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So now that this single is out, it looks like you're more prepared. You're poised and you're ready for the industry.
Geared up.
And this is where I'll ask. I mean, a lot of musicians are working on albums. Now it's not even for we to consume, but once they put it online, they believe that they can make a lot from it.
Yes, that's
so
true.
is this something you're working towards?
I would say, first of all, before you drop an album as an artist, you need to weigh your funds. Yeah, you need to know the number of people you're doing the album for, or where the targeted like fans that you're giving the album to. Me, when it comes to my situation right now, I started Hitmaker, or I started off music as a rapper, which I still rap. I still get messages of people saying, why are you not rapping anymore and all of that. It's still there. But because I got signed to Ali Spiritual, and that time was the time we were all trying to push the Afrobeat agenda. So I dropped Independent Lady and it was good. So what do? I need to still do things like Independent Lady. So that was what I've been doing, or that's what I've been doing till now. But I feel like, no, once in a while or once in a lifetime, I should drop something of like me indigenously, as in rap. Like that's what most people know me for. So I've prepared, and I mean we've come to a conclusion to drop a whole body work for hip hop.
Oh, a hip hop album. Okay.
One for the culture. We are doing one for the culture. Even if we'll be dropping Afrobeats during throughout the year, at least a particular month in the year, we should give them hip hop. Make them say, okay, the rap side today. So like that's what we want to do right now. But we want to weigh the audience and see what they really want, because I can't do it for myself. If I put out Banana I've put out Banana right now, I check out the numbers. Okay, no, these people, they like, okay, yeah, they like this tempo. Oh no, they like drill. Oh no, they like that. Then I focus on that side because I can listen to it alone. So.
Wow, he can. How do we reach you on social media?
Oh yeah, right now my handle is Yawbeck Original, YAWBERK, and normal original, ORIGINAL.
Okay.
Yawbeck Original. And then my Facebook page is Yawbeck.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, so guys, I mean, he's a talented musician. I like Yawbeck so much. It's not just about liking and that's just it, but let's all go out there and keep supporting our artists. For me, that's the dream. That's the best thing we can do to support them one way or the other. I'm really excited, but please go out there, go and check out Banana for Yawbeck. Banana is the thing. Let's go there, listen, jam and enjoy. Stream it and also encourage others to do so for us. My name is Doreen Avion. Of course, I say a very big thank you to you, Yawbeck, for coming on the show. And to you, Ike and Nat on production. We are back here same time here on the Joy News channel. On Twitter and Facebook, it is Doreen Avion. On Instagram, it's Doreen_Avion. Have a great evening.